We've talked a number of different times in several articles and videos about the importance of getting the right business structures for chiropractic physicians practice here in Illinois. If you have a business structure, a particular style of corporation or an LLC, you have to register those particular entities with IDFPR, and there are specific entities that you have to utilize when we're talking about the practice of medicine. And we have a lot of doctors who've said, I've used an attorney and we're sure it's right. And then only to find out when they go to actually register with IDFPR that maybe they were registered as a standard corporation or a regular LLC. And in those particular cases, that isn't okay. Actually, you have to be a medical corporation, a professional service corporation, or a professional limited liability company, a PLLC, in order to make that work. Now, we've talked a lot about this, but sometimes there's some confusion surrounding or some challenges surrounding the conversion process. So you realize you have the wrong entity and you want to make sure that you get the conversion right. You want to get set up correctly. And what does all of that take? We've had an article out there for quite a while that helps those that had the wrong style of corporation, a standard corporation, convert to a medical corporation or a professional service corporation. And that's been out there for a while. We'd encourage you to take a look at that. By the way, you can find that article at ilchiro.org/convert and ilchiro.org/convert, and that will take you to that article. But the bigger one is more recently we got a question surrounding an LLC. So we had a member who had an LLC and realized that isn't the correct structure, that ultimately you want to have a PLLC. Now, the PLLC, the professional limited liability company, allows a whole variety of different types of healthcare service providers practice together. In other words, you could be an MDDO, a DC, you can have someone who is a podiatrist, a dentist, or even an optometrist practice together under a PLLC structure. And that's really important to know. Now, here's the key. You got to make sure your name has to include that PLLC as well. And if you get any part of these structurings incorrect, then ultimately you'll end up just being a standard LLC, or the application would get rejected. So the key is this: one is to qualify as a PLC rather than just a standard business LLC. A PLC must include in the corporate purpose the specific professional service or related professional services that you plan to render under that PLLC. So if you were going to do both, let's say chiropractic and also dentist, then you would actually put dentistry and chiropractic and some other terms along those lines. And you can imagine whatever mix you would have, you just have to include that in your corporate purpose. And then you want to make sure that your legal name actually includes that PLLC as well. Now, once you get that conversion made, by the way, same article, and there are specific instructions and the form that you have to file to get that conversion process done. You go to ilchiro.org/convert. Again, that's ilchiro.org/convert, and it will give you the steps that you need in order to convert your LLC to a PLLC, which is what you need to be in order to practice appropriate medicine in Illinois. And then you can get registered with IDFPR. So jump out there, take a look at the article, and it'll give you all of that. Once you've you've finished and completed the process of making the change to a PLLC, you also then want to make sure get registered with IDFPR and get that registration, that, if you will, that license for the entity to practice. You want to get that taken care of. If you use an assumed name, make sure you get a hold of your appropriate people in your county, as well as the Secretary of State, to notify them of your name change. And then lastly, the IRS, you want to make sure your name change is recorded with them and associated with your appropriate FEIN number as well, or FEIN. So hopefully that helps you out. But again, check out the article. It's fantastic. It'll walk you through that process, gives you links to the appropriate forms that you need. Get your business entities in line with what is required in Illinois. Make sure that you're not under a standard corporation. Some of you may say, well, I'm an S Corp. Well, you can actually be an S Corp and a medical corporation or a professional service corporation or a standard business corporation. The standard business corporations are going to be the problem, right? Instead, you want to make sure that you are one of the other two. And so you need to make sure that your structure is appropriate. And if you're not 100% certain, you're not sure how to check, you can check with your attorney to make sure it's one of the appropriate structures, or you can try to attempt to register your business with IDFPR and get that registration process complete. And they will let you know if your entity is structured correctly, and then you can go make the changes. Hopefully this helps you out, and we'll catch you next week.